Paul and I have been together for 2 years and just got engaged and moved in with him. Paul is an alcoholic and also has bouts of depression. Paul and his ex-wife co-parent their son spectacularly. Literally, even though there is a custodial agreement that Paul is only allowed every other weekend and alternate holidays, his ex-wife has always allowed him to see the boy anytime he wants to, in addition to the weekends and holidays. I have only talked to her once, when Paul introduced us, after we had been together for 9 months. Paul doesn't like to talk about why his marriage failed, other than the statement that his ex-wife deserves so much better than the crap he put her through. She only applied for divorce when she learned she was pregnant. Paul admitted that her leaving him was what set him on the path of recovery. I cannot even imagine Paul as anything other than the sweetest and most gentle person I have ever known. But apparently, before his recovery, he was a raging alcoholic. I have nothing but respect for the woman who had the courage to walk out of an abusive situation for her and put her child first. She is very protective of her son. I wasn't allowed to meet Paul's son until we were dating for 9 months, and even then, the boy was told I was his dad's friend. Around our anniversary, I wanted us to move in together, but Paul wanted to wait. This weekend, his mother had an engagement party for us, and most of his friends and relatives were there. It was the comment that one of his aunts said that started this for me. I heard her say clearly, "Laura, Paul's ex, chose well," in reference to me. It sounded so odd, but I let it go. And then, here and there, people were asking Paul odd questions about Laura. Is Laura okay with this? Is she okay with that? At first, I thought maybe she was jealous and I didn't know, and his relatives were making sure. One of the relatives suggested we look into buying a house, and someone said Paul's credit history is crap due to his past. That was when my soon-to-be mother-in-law dropped that Laura told her Paul's credit history has improved so much, and with correct reference, he might even be approved for a loan. That was odd to me, because I didn't know about Paul's credit history, other than the fact that he has no loans. To her saying something, Paul replied, "You know she doesn't want me like that anymore. What else is there to do?" I am dumbfounded. That night when I confronted him, he confessed that he literally has given her access to his bank accounts, his credit cards. She is a financial advisor, and apparently it was with her help that he improved his credit. She approves all of his purchases. The more he talked, the more I am getting angry and confused. Apparently, she did approve of me. Only after her approval, he formalized the relationship with me. It was her who told him moving in a year is too fast and to wait until an engagement. He even told her our wedding budget, which she approved of. Thank God I wanted a small wedding. When I asked him what he meant by her not wanting him, all Paul told me was that she took that off the table for them, though she is slowly beginning to trust him again. Sure, he was fast to reassure that it had nothing to do with the fact that he loves me and wants to marry me. Tell me, guys, am I crazy to think this is not okay? I am even beginning to doubt that he loves me, though he vehemently denies there are any romantic feelings between them anymore because of his screw-up. I can't help but think the second she wants him, he will toss me aside. I just moved in with him. I haven't even unpacked half of it yet. Everything I see now, I get the feeling she had to approve of it first. The only person who I can talk to is my mother, who thinks I am crazy, and how Laura is a good person for making Paul turn his life around, and I should be grateful and maybe ask her to give me some advice too. Paul just thinks I am too insecure. I don't even want my ring now, knowing that she had him pick this one from the 3 she approved. Should I talk to Laura about some boundaries? Talking to Paul feels like talking to a wall right now. Give it to me frankly, guys. Am I truly being oversensitive and insecure? How to move forward? Oof. With the comment, "You know she doesn't want me like that anymore. What else is there to do?" Honestly, I'd be gone just at that, and grateful my boxes were still packed. If you want to be with him, you need to postpone the wedding. Return the tainted ring. Step way, way back. Your partner doesn't get to keep secrets from you that concern you. He doesn't get to do it with his friends, with his parents, and he definitely doesn't get to do it with his ex. He co-parents with his ex. She has no say in his relationship with you unless it involves her son, or you ask her. That she determines how your relationship goes without you even knowing. That's what's happening is so creepy. His guilt over how he treated her doesn't mean she runs his life. There's no making up for it. He has to move on with his life. And so does she. Does her fiancé know how enmeshed they are? Counseling for everybody. My boyfriend and I met 2 years ago, shortly after I moved across the country on a whim, and quickly fell head over heels for each other. He was, and is, quite possibly the sweetest man I've ever met, besides my dad. We are polar opposites. He is wealthy, reserved, calm, rational. I am none of those things. But he mellows me out somehow. We jumped into an exclusive relationship pretty fast, within only 3 weeks of knowing each other, like some kind of crazy whirlwind romance. But we took most other things slow. For instance, we didn't have sex until 3 or 4 months into our relationship. I knew he was divorced. I knew some of the circumstances of their divorce. One of the big reasons being that she couldn't have kids. And this was something we had discussed within the last 2 years, eventually wanting kids together. We've had extensive conversations about it. We even had more extensive conversations about it after we had a pregnancy scare last Christmas. I wanted it, and perhaps I never realized how badly until it became a reality. I don't know. That was a hard time for me, and I was angry and sad in ways I never knew I could be. For the last several months, he has been somewhat distant. He owns many businesses, rental properties, and also works for a large corporation in this state. So he works a lot, 80-plus-hour weeks at times. And I chalked it up to him being tired and stressed out. He's always tired and stressed out, but he usually leaves that at work. When we're together, he doesn't ever make it an issue or ever take it out on me. So the distance is really unusual. We went to dinner last night, and I called him on it, and he said he had something to tell me that I probably wouldn't like. He started explaining how he and his ex-wife had embryos that she had custody of after the divorce, and this woman who wasn't supposed to be able to bear children is pregnant. I immediately excused myself to the bathroom and started throwing up. My anxiety just went into overdrive, and as we tried to navigate this conversation after I came back, all I could do was cry. I can't explain that kind of hurt, and he couldn't comprehend why it hurt me as badly as it did. He has stated that the leading decision for the divorce was because she couldn't have kids. What does that mean now? I asked him, and he said he didn't know, but that first and foremost, he would do whatever was best for the baby. And so he should. But it felt like my heart broke into a million pieces last night, and I can't help these feelings of jealousy and selfishness and anger and sadness all at once. Maybe it sounds stupid, but how can I ever not feel inferior to this woman that is now carrying his child? How can I ever be okay with the idea that she's given him something I haven't, and now feel crazy for even wanting? I am a lesser priority now. I feel like the other woman somehow now. He just kept saying, "You didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong." I know I didn't do anything wrong, but it still hurts me that I don't know what this means for our relationship. It still hurts me that I've invested into this idea of having a family with him, and that they'll share this little beautiful miracle together while I have to watch from the sidelines. How do I navigate my way through this and these feelings? How do I not let it embitter me? How can I be supportive through this when I don't feel supportive? How do I stop being selfish and jealous? How do I get over the insecurities that have and will spring from this? How do I stay in this relationship while I feel like this? I love him to pieces, but it still doesn't change that I'm hurting so badly. Is that wrong? I don't know how to take it from here. His story doesn't pass the smell test for me. Did you ask him why he would give custody of embryos to a woman he was no longer married to? Was she planning on using a surrogate? If so, then it could be argued that he knew there was potential for him to become a parent with her. The other thing, someone was still paying for those embryos to stay on ice. Who was that? I'm just saying that from my cold, rational position, this story has some gaps in it. And now that he's going to be a father with his ex-wife, if I were you, I would bounce. He's not really going to have time to develop a relationship with you like he would if she were not pregnant. And it is very possible that they will get back together if it is in fact true that the only reason they split is because she couldn't get pregnant. But again, his story isn't entirely adding up to me. I am a 31-year-old with an active lifestyle. I always participate in local charity events. I'm a fast runner. I run, I climb, I go cycling. This is mostly how I spend my time. I have an AET, Associate in Engineering Technology degree. My family owns a private business that I used to contribute in for the past 5 years. I met my now ex-girlfriend 3 years ago. We were planning on getting engaged in 2021, and we were both excited for living together permanently and starting a family together. Several months ago, I started having some health issues, started experiencing fatigue, increased lack of sleep, night sweats, and weight loss. I'd get tired very fast and was not able to participate in activities like I used to. I went to get myself checked, and they found a cancerous tumor in one of my body's organs. It was a complete shock. Panic set in. I thought to myself, this just can't be happening to me. My family has been very supportive of me. They believed in me. I struggled with fear and anxiety. My condition had an impact on everything, especially my relationship with my girlfriend. She didn't take it well. She's always been the type that act awkwardly when it comes to situations like this. I tried to meet up with her a couple of times, but she preferred to support me through the phone by texting me, saying that she's here for me. 1 week before I started my chemotherapy, she hadn't called nor texted. I decided to call and check up on her, but I got no reply. I thought maybe she's been under a ton of pressure herself. My mom and dad thought something was off because normally people don't act like that when their loved ones go through medical issues. They show up and show support. I did my best and defended her and made up excuses for her as long as I could. The next week, as I was sitting in the hospital cancer unit waiting room, about to go through my first cycle of chemotherapy, fear and anxiety on overdrive because I'd been told that chemotherapy is tough, both physically and mentally. I got a call from my girlfriend trying to excuse the way she'd been behaving and basically just kind of hinting that she needs some time away from all this stress and that she already planned to keep a distance for the time being. I was shocked. I reread the whole thing over and over again, wondering was she ending things between us by this? I couldn't handle it. I just broke down and cried. They thought I was just being stressed out. It was something else. I am currently dealing with the chemotherapy better. I will be able to go back to work in a few weeks. My girlfriend knew. She started contacting me on Facebook and was hurt because I didn't reply. Started to guilt trip me into talking to her and acting like she did nothing wrong. I know I wasn't an a-hole for doing this, but I needed to hear an opinion. Tell her that you can't deal with the stress of having a partner who bails on you when things get tough. That you need a partner who will actually stick with you, in sickness and in health. And that is not her, nor will it ever be her. Then tell her to never contact you again, that you will be finding a new partner who will be there when you need them. After that, block her. My wife, 35 female, and I, 37 male, have been married for 12 years. We have 3 kids, and I always had this nagging feeling that our middle child wasn't mine. Our oldest and youngest look like me, but my middle child doesn't. My wife has shown me a picture of her grandfather, and it does look a lot like him, but he just doesn't have any of my family features. He looks so different than anyone else in the family. I decided I wanted a paternity test to put my mind at ease. My wife got pretty upset when I brought it up because cheating has always been a deal breaker for her, but I just saw that as all the more reason to get one done. I told her that if she had nothing to hide, she would have no problem with getting one done. I tested my son, and it turns out he's mine. I thought everything was fine, and I had my peace of mind. Except she told me she was going to take the kids and go to her parents for a while. When I asked why, she exploded and told me that she was seriously considering divorcing me over this stunt. That she was furious with me for doubting her loyalty to me, knowing how she felt about cheating, and that she would never forgive me for what I put our son through, making him question his place in the family. I tried to get her to see my side, that I just wanted to be sure, and that surely she could see why I'd question it when he looks nothing like me. She told me she would never forgive me for this, and that she hoped my foolish pride was worth the cost of my family. She hasn't spoken to me since. I need advice on how to get her to talk to me and get her to see my side of the story, and that it wasn't some attack on her character like she seems to think it was. I don't want a divorce. Why can't you see her side, though? She understands your side, that he looks nothing like you. Did you ever learn about genetics? Some babies don't look like the parents. It happens all the time. I have a blonde cousin with blue eyes, who has a husband with blonde hair and brown eyes. The baby came out a redhead with green eyes. The baby looks nothing like them, and they still know that baby is theirs. You're trying to justify what you did with a BS excuse, and you need to accept you probably ruined your family forever. Update. So, it's been a couple months now, and I thought I'd update. My wife finally agreed to sit down with me a couple weeks after I posted, and as some of you said, she doesn't want to stay with me. We talked, and basically it boiled down to she wants a divorce because I don't trust her and think so poorly of her character that I thought she'd pass another man's child off as mine. She then said she'll never forgive me for treating my son so abhorrently. He asked why I hated him. I didn't realize I treated him so differently, but apparently it was obvious. I tried to defend myself, but she asked what I meant then, because no matter how I tried to dress it up, I accused her of cheating and treating our son like trash because he wasn't my spitting image. She then brought up she wondered if I was projecting because only one of us ever had infidelity in their background, and it wasn't her. That stung, because while yes, I had cheated in 2 past relationships, I've never cheated on her. I said that, but she said she'd never cheated at all. But that didn't stop me from accusing her of it. So now my kids won't talk to me, and my wife wants to divorce me, all over a paternity test.